Sunil Alagh, chairman of SK Advisors, is representing the voice of corporate India tonight. Also with us is Aryaman Sundaram, one of India's leading lawyers in the Supreme Court, senior advocate, Supreme Court, Aryaman Sundaram. Naresh Gujral of the Shiromani Akali Dal, Prakash Javadekar, national spokesperson of the BJP. And please, ladies and gentlemen, don't think the Congress is going to go unrepresented. We cannot let the Congress go unrepresented tonight, because I am told that in 30 seconds we'll have Sanjay Jha, who's representing the Congress party, joining me on the debate. So, you know, it's just a matter of time before he joins us. Let's get the opening remark from Naresh Gujral. Mr. Gujral, you saw all the comments of the ministers today. You know, very unfortunate. This is going to hit the impact, the confidence of India's top corporates. It is not something that we support. So what they have done, Mr. Gujral, is draw a very Chinese wall between themselves, that is the government, and the CBI. Your comments on that?
Arnav, you would remember that many months ago on your channel, I had given details of how much public money had been squandered away by giving these coal mines for free to cronies of the government.
Yep.
Actually, it was not given free. Bribes were paid, and one shouldn't even use the word bribe. It was ransom money, because businessmen today are blackmailed by party managers, and then after they pay up, slips go to the government and these mines are allocated. That is exactly how things have been transpiring. You would recall, suddenly Mr. Gautam Adani's brother was arrested. A week later, he was released, and since then, nothing has been heard of the case. Honest businessmen like Mr. Tata had to use services of Radia. Why? Because the Congress party managers have ensured that nothing will happen in this country. No businessman can do his business in a regular way unless payoffs are made. So whether you call it bribes or whether you call it ransom, that is for the country and you to judge.
Yeah.
But obviously money passed hands. Only then were these favors shown. But what I am saying is that money has gone to Congress party managers.
Prove it.
Who were then issuing
prove it tonight. We have the Congress. Prove it. How do you know money was paid to Congress party managers? Prove it. You're going to have to prove
Black money cannot be proved. Black money cannot be proved. But so lifestyle shows
that you have a lot of black money.
You tell me.
I can tell you, Mr. Gujral, you have tons of black money. I can't prove it. You have tons of it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So let's not make wild allegations on the panel. This is a serious discussion, not some kind of a political platform to make election speeches.
And you will get your turn. You will get your turn also. Why are you interrupting?
Let him complete. Let him complete.
Sure.
I am saying that if you look at the entire political class today, the way elections have become so expensive, the way a political leader feels that he is a leader only because he has a private plane at his disposal or a helicopter at his disposal. Where is this dirty money coming from? Who is financing all this? The poor businessman today is bled, and I'm not.
The poor businessman.
This is happening across. This is happening across the board.
No, one sec. We'll go to Aryaman Sundaram. We're seeing smiles there on Sunil Alagh's face. But let's get Aryaman Sundaram, because he was nodding vigorously. The reference to the poor businessman who sucked, unfortunately, in this kind of an unholy mess. Aryaman Sundaram, let's get your take on that before we go to the Congress. Yes.
Arnav, let's come down to basics. One aspect is to look at policy. Policy itself could be good, bad, right, wrong. Hindsight tells us it's faulty, or it is a progressive policy. It could be a popular policy, it can be an unpopular policy. That is one aspect, and for that, it is the governance we choose. The electorate chooses the government, and the government may make good policy or may make ineffective policy. That is one aspect of it. The other aspect is whether there was any corruption in either the making of a given policy or in the implementation of the policy. These are two distinctive things. But underlying all this really is today's complete lack of credibility in the integrity of the public servant. And by the public servant, I talk about everybody, not one.
So for the CBI, the public servant in this case is only the bureaucrat.
It could be anybody, including the bureaucrat, including the policeman. There is a general feeling that there is a general lack of credibility. Therefore, what happens? The moment a policy is found to be disagreeable, unpopular or faulty, we naturally immediately attribute it to a corrupt motive. Now my worry is that while popular belief makes us attribute it to a corrupt motive, I feel we cannot be so quick off the trigger. You have a CBI investigating. The CBI is meant to investigate. Sir, but the point is, if the CBI feels a gun on its head,
sir, my question is,
come up with an FIR,
no, 1 second.
And unless they come up with actually charging somebody, and then it becomes a question of witch hunting in its own way,
as I said today,
what I'm worried about today.
No, as I said today, in my opening remarks, I said the government is trying to make us all believe that the caged parrot has turned into a carnivorous eagle and is swooping down to attack the bureaucrat and the businessman. Now, I don't know whether that mutation happened, but I'm curious, Sanjay Jha. Before I open up to Prakash Javadekar, I'm just coming to you, sir. I'm very curious, Sanjay Jha, why there is so much hypocrisy in the way the CBI treats politicians from the Congress party and bureaucrats who are actually whistleblowers. You know, you have such total and complete hypocrisy that the CBI protects politicians from the Congress party in the deepest of scams and goes after the honest bureaucrat. Can you tell me why?
Well, let me tell you, Naveen Jindal, who's one of our very well-known MPs, has an FIR against him. The former minister,
what about Pawan Bansal? What about Pawan Bansal?
One minute.
No, what about
Narayan Rao has had an FIR.
No. FIR is not in
Vijay Darda has been questioned. Now,
in this case, Sanjay, let's explain this. Okay. You see, in this case, somebody who has spoken in favor of an auction process and has questioned the way coal blocks were allocated, who even mentioned this right up to the Prime Minister, somebody who is a potential whistleblower, somebody who is a potential witness has been made an accused. And on the other hand, Pawan Kumar Bansal, you do exactly the opposite. You don't investigate Pawan Kumar Bansal, the Central Bureau of Investigation makes him a prosecution witness in the Coalgate scam. So he's turned on to the other side. I'm asking you today, please answer me, why is there one set of treatment for Mr. Parekh and one set of treatment for Pawan Bansal? No, please tell me why.
Let me explain to you.
Yeah.
Let us not compare apples and oranges.
No, it's not apples and oranges. Where's the comparison between apples? I thought Coalgate is a big scam.
The CBI's, 1 minute. The CBI's FIR talks about a decision which has been apparently taken by the bureaucrat concerned, Mr. Parekh, which he said was an about turn. Now, CBI says we have prima facie evidence to investigate this case further. Nobody's an accused. So you're not right in saying that anybody's been accused.
Taped transcripts leaked on July 19th have this in court. And I quote, in the context of the Coalgate scam, that Mahesh tells Goel, in the morning we had breakfast together, everything was very good, suddenly breaks into joy and he says, you know what? Then he, that is Bansal, said, I am doing something. I mean, you don't worry. It will be done, but you will have to do very good work. It will be done in a day or two. And then I just said, sir, do what you want. I just need your blessings. This is a taped conversation in which Bansal's name has been revealed. You tell the viewers of Newshour tonight why Mr. Bansal is being treated like a prosecution witness and Parekh is being turned into an accused.
Well, I'll tell you, it's very simple. Number one, let me answer both your questions. As far as this, and this is why we are meeting today, is on this coal allocations issue. This is under Supreme Court monitoring. This is CBI working independently under Supreme Court observation. Are we here to believe? Are we so cynical of our institutions today?
Of course
that
we are.
Despite the Supreme Court monitoring it,
of course
we are saying that we still suspect.
We are not. I put that question to Prakash Javadekar. Prakash Javadekar, the question being put here is that the CBI is working independently. That's the basic argument being
under
put by
Supreme Court orders.
And he asks, are we cynical? I would say yes, we are cynical of the CBI, not of the Supreme Court. The CBI is capable of anything. Yes, Prakash Javadekar.
The very statement is laughable for many reasons and actual what has happened in few months. While Supreme Court was monitoring, despite Supreme Court's strict orders that don't show the status report to the political bosses, still CBI was forced to show that, and not only showed and seen, but that was completely changed. And as the news leaked out, ultimately Law Minister has to go, but the PMO Joint Secretary and the Coal Joint Secretary go to the CBI headquarters, not only see the report, but change as per their wish. If that is the freedom of CBI, while Supreme Court is monitoring, it is always a laughable thing. And it's a curious thing. I'll say one more thing. As you rightly put out, that Pawan Bansal has been made a prosecution witness. He is the decision maker. In CWG, what is the issue? There are 10 IAS officers and one nominated from the PMO as the next to Kalmari. So there what CBI does, all the IAS officers who sign every document, they are not charged. The final signatory is charged. Okay, correct. Then here, Parakh is the intermediary signatory. The final sanction comes from the Prime Minister. Here the intermediary is caught, he is charged, and not the final signatory. What does this mean?
Exactly. What does this particular mean? One sec, before you go in on that, let's get Sunil Alagh also into this. You know, Sunil Alagh, we've gone through a range of issues right at the start of this discussion. 2 points are emerging. The Congress party says CBI is working independently. Don't ask us about it. Secondly, the unexplained question of why the Prime Minister is being protected is a question which also needs to be answered. Thirdly, which is a point that Sunil Alagh said he wanted to make, was that the corporate India is a soft target. Corporate India is a soft target as well as the bureaucrat in this particular case. Sunil Alagh.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, I think in this particular case, and I'm only talking about this one, there are a couple of people who represent India, people like Adi Godrej, Ratan Tata, Kumaramangalam Birla, Anand Mahindra. These are the people that represent India outside, and we are desperately trying to get investments in. You start accusing them. Can I just ask one question? Can they sue the government of India for sullying their image? Let's assume that the CBI has done this. This habit of saying, I've raided somebody's house, I found 1 crore of rupees, the guy explains it, that's reported. Nobody ever reports the fact that there was nothing wrong in the 1 crore of rupees in his house. It was justified. Can Mr. Kumaramangalam Birla tomorrow sue the Prime Minister and the CBI for sullying his image? He can't. Yes. I mean, about time everybody realized that when you damage a person's image in America or anywhere else in the world, you have had it. Therefore, you think 500 times before you sully somebody's image.
Mr. Alagh,
and as you know,
I'm just going to interrupt you for a minute.
Statement in Bihar and UP.
Mr. Alagh, I'm going to interrupt you for a minute.
Coalgate, and Colgate
is more
is
than
here.
any industrialist of India. India's brand image and representation abroad is done by the Prime Minister of India.
Saying one thing.
Let us understand
the Prime Minister should have spoken up. Here is Mr. Kumaramangalam Birla, who is respected. He says that I went to the Prime Minister. Mr. Parakh, who is an honest individual, says I gave it to Neyveli Corporation. Mr. Kumaramangalam Birla went to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister saw the presentation, told Mr. Parakh to take a look at it. Nobody is putting any pressure. So here the boss cannot say, I was just signing a document. I've asked you to relook at it. Mr. Parakh relooks at it on the basis of them having made a first application. If the Prime Minister came and said everything is transparent, I have done it, the matter would have fallen and we would have had respect outside. Prime Minister remains silent. Therefore, now you are getting into who's corrupt, who's lying, who's not. I would like to say, I don't think Kumaramangalam Birla is lying when he says he went to the Prime Minister. I don't think Mr. Parakh is lying, saying that after he took the decision, he had to review it. Because why are you? Or the Prime Minister.
So are you saying the CBI is lying? Why don't you be very clear?
I don't know how the CBI.
Are you saying that the CBI is lying?
When they follow instructions of the government, they do one thing. When they are told you are independent, either way they do the wrong thing. So we don't know what the CBI is doing.
No, the question. No, one second. This is what happens.
The government, they do the wrong thing.
This is what happens.
They are not independent at all.
No, one second.
Are they ready to be sued by industry, by Kumaramangalam Birla?
1 second. Can you hear me?
Saying that you have sullied my
Can you hear me,
for no rhyme or reason. That's the question I want to ask today of everyone.
Sunil Alagh, can you hear me?
I want to respond and say you did it wrong. If they are right,
first of all, I want to check.
If they are wrong, I really want to know, will they pay damages of thousands of crores on damaging Mr. Birla?
1 second. So, Sunil
Alagh has
an
answer to this. We will just throw it in the air. We will say we have evidence. And here the poor man is saying, I went to the Prime Minister. He is saying it.
Mr. Alagh, can you hear me?
Secretary is saying, yes, I heard it.
Can you hear me, sir?
To change it. These are facts.
Mr. Alagh,
I can hear you.
Yeah, 1 second. You see, you're making a long opening remark. Let's get the counters here. So here, Mr. Sanjay Jha, you're taking this very lightly.
No, I'm not.
I'm sorry, but you're taking it extremely lightly. I am equally astonished that I want to add one thing. What if the people of India say, we want FIRs into the missing coal files, right? The letters that a member of parliament wrote to the Prime Minister recommending companies for the allocation of coal blocks to a certain company, forwarded by the PMO to the coal ministry for appropriate action, are not traceable in the ministry. Tell me, Mr. Jha, tonight, who have you filed an FIR against for that?
Let me answer. Number one, very simple terms.
Yes.
And I need to...
Answer my question. No, don't go off track. Who have you filed an FIR for that? Have you filed an FIR for that? Have you filed an FIR?
Let me be very clear. The CBI is monitoring the investigation.
So there is no FIR. So there is no FIR for the missing files.
Anything. Let me again clarify. Arnab, you're not
is there an FIR on the missing files?
The CBI is... By the way, the CBI has told the Supreme Court that in the event that we don't get the files that we're looking for, the government will have to explain its action.
So you are then you see that's where you're going off track.
No, that's why not the government.
No, that's why
we have got nothing to do with this.
The Congress party says we have nothing to do with it. Let me remind you of what the Supreme Court says. The Supreme Court says that the disappearance and non-furnishing of documents by the coal ministry have an element of criminality in it. Now, if there is an element of criminality in it, who is the FIR against? That's the point here tonight.
Yeah,
the Congress party says, Prakash Javadekar, I bring you back.
One point I need to make. I need to make one point.
You are washing your hands off tonight.
So because you thought that I was taking it lightly. I was astonished by the fact that Sunil Alagh is not making the one thing that he perhaps wants to say, that he does not believe in the CBI. Now, if this is the level of skepticism that prevails, at this moment of time,
you're turning.
No, 1 minute.
Now you hear.
And I believe in
you hear him now.
Why doesn't the Prime Minister come and say Kumaramangalam Birla is lying? Why doesn't the PMO say Kumaramangalam Birla has said I went and met the Prime Minister? Why doesn't the Prime Minister come out and say he's lying? Forget the CBI at the moment.
Well, let me
Why doesn't
the Prime Minister is not.
He never. Did the Prime Minister? One second. Fundamental. Don't tweak the argument the way you want it, Sanjay Jha. 1 minute. The question here is: did the Prime Minister of India meet Mr. Kumaramangalam Birla? Come on. And if the Prime Minister of India met Mr. Kumaramangalam Birla,
yes or no?
Yes or no? What was that meeting about? To discuss the price of flowers? Just for a cup of coffee, or to discuss the weather, or was it to discuss this particular case of Hindalco?
You are making it light.
Was there a meeting or not? No, was there a meeting or not? Was there a meeting?
The CBI
was there a meeting?
1 minute. The CBI says they have prima facie evidence against Mr.
I am asking you one question.
I don't give a damn about what CBI says.
1 minute. Sunil Alagh sitting in his home is passing a judgment on who's innocent and who's not. Let me tell you, the CBI has even said, please do not doubt our intent or our credibility. Yeah. And by the way, everyone has a right to defend themselves.
I am doubting the PMO's intent.
But number two, opening them out? If in this country we can discuss the Prime Minister every day on allegations made by the BJP, I can tell you we have a right to discuss anyone else in India. There are no allegations. Whether it's an
now, gentlemen, will you both cease fire?
We're a standard human being.
Birla statement.
Well, what's it? We're going to Prakash Javadekar.
No allegation. He just said I met.
Prakash Javadekar, tonight, it's very interesting, Mr. Javadekar. The Congress party is shooting off the CBI's shoulder.
Yes.
Each time you ask a question to Mr. Sanjay Jha has a straight response. Do you doubt the CBI? Well, Mr. Sanjay Jha, before I go give the case to give the floor to Prakash Javadekar, I'd like to believe that the CBI is independent, but it's tough. And you know why? Because in the Mayawati case, the files closure report happens despite the Supreme Court giving it full freedom to investigate and the CBI saying it as evidence. I would like to trust the CBI, but I cannot because of the repeated flip-flops since 2007, timed accurately with political developments in the Mulayam Singh disproportionate assets case. I would like to believe the CBI, but in the Lalu case, I will not forget that the CBI did not appeal against Lalu and Rabri Devi's acquittal in 2006 in the disproportionate assets case. And therefore, Mr. Sanjay Jha, think very hard before you make a comment with so much earnestness saying, do you not believe the CBI?
There are several Congress ministers
who have... Think what you're saying through tonight.
Mr. Anand Sharma, Mr. Sachin Pilot have all expressed their concerns over the CBI.
You are saying...
Mr. Birla, 1 minute. If the CBI was not independent, I think the Congress would have influenced it.
Let's go to the BJP. Prakash Javadekar.
We asked
Prakash Javadekar turn.
People have expressed.
Prakash Javadekar is responding.
We have seen not only flip-flops, those all flip-flops were timed politically to suit Congress party's politics. And that is why people started saying that it is not CBI Central Bureau of Investigation but Congress Bureau of Investigation. And why did not only Mulayam Mayawati but
let him complete. Let him complete.
1 minute.
He didn't interrupt you.
Don't interpret. Don't interpret. Even in DMK, when it severs relationship with it, immediately there are raids. And the ministers then say that CBI should not stop. That means they are daily conducting the whole affair that was before the nation. More important, what Mr. Parakh has said is more important. That if he is the co-conspirator, then naturally the final decision maker, the Prime Minister, is the main conspirator. And further, I have said yesterday that if Parakh's proposal of competitive bidding would have been accepted by the government, there would not have been a coal scam. But they wanted, as Naresh Gujral rightly said, that they wanted to milk from this coal, and that is why they perpetuated and when the system was demanding the competitive bidding because the prices, world prices,
I think no. 1 second.
Demand was increasing.
1 second. You see, let's look at Coalgate. Let's look at Coalgate. What are we talking about? Yeah. What's Coalgate? For all our viewers. I just like to say one thing before I go to Aryaman Sundaram, Naresh Gujral have been silent, and let's get them in before we come back to you. You see, what is Coalgate? Coalgate is about how these few companies, some 151 firms for 68 blocks got all these coal blocks allocated and 1,950 got rejected. That's the whole process. So the whole argument is that the whole process was arbitrary. Aryaman Sundaram, am I correct? That there was arbitrariness to this whole procure. That's how I understand it, Mr. Sundaram. So in this, the files are very important. At the core of this are the files. The most important files have probably gone missing. The files which relate to important issues such as the financial capability of the applicant companies is missing from the record. I'm quoting the Supreme Court. We don't know yet who is being blamed for the missing files. Now, what if we say, okay, you file a case against Kumaramangalam Birla and the Coal Secretary. Who are you filing a case against for the missing files? Nobody.
Can I answer that?
No, nobody so far. Has there been anything like that? There's nobody's been blamed for it so far. Let's get Aryaman Sundaram before I come back to you.
said they had all the documents.
How? Your baby.
And 1 minute, the state governments are also being questioned, which are involved in the screening committee. And you know, you will. 1 minute. Whatever files are missing, some of them relate to the period when the NDA wasn't power.
No.
1 minute. So this is a place where the CBI will make its full disclosure.
Aryaman Sundaram, you buy that?
Please.
Aryaman Sundaram?
Yeah.
Come on.
Look, the whole issue is this. The question which is coming up today is whether, as you said or not, there has been arbitrariness in allocation of coal blocks. It doesn't end there. Every single so-called scam which we've come up with goes back to the same issue. Has there been an inexplicable arbitrariness in giving contracts, in giving licenses, in giving permissions, in giving mine blocks, in giving iron ore blocks, in giving coal blocks to certain selected people? The fact of the matter is that in India, government largesse has gone on not now.
Yeah.
It's gone on for 10s and 20 years. It's just that, thank God, it's all coming out in the open now. It may be very unfortunate for the present ruling party that it's all coming out in their face right now, but unfortunately they also have a great role to play in it, as did the earlier parties. The fact is, government largesse has been selectively given. Corporate houses, some have been favored. This has been the system in India, not now, over the last couple of decades, 3 decades.
And the minister
now coming out in the open, and we are now asking the question: is this arbitrariness sheer capital crony?
What the government?
Is this arbitrariness coupled with corruption, or is this arbitrariness sheer government largest being given the way government has been doing over the years, trusting a few business houses and giving it to them. But the point is, questions are arising now, and I believe it is time the Prime Minister stands up and answers.
No, but you see, I want to understand the tone of the Congress Party's argument today. Anand Sharma says the time has come for all institutions to collectively reflect on who is going to take responsibility for what has happened so far. The line of argument Naresh Gujral right now that the government is taking is, we will blame everyone but ourselves for the investor confidence taking a hit. That's point number one. Point number two, nobody's taken responsibility for the missing files. So the attempt seems to be here, and this was commented on yesterday by Piyush Goyal of the BJP. I want to take your view on it, and then we'll get Sanjay Jha to respond. So Naresh Gujral, Piyush Goyal said yesterday, you know what's going on is that a potential eyewitness, an explosive whistleblower. There is an attempt to silence him by making him an accused. Which takes me to my first question. You don't do this in the case of Pawan Kumar Bansal. You make him a prosecution witness. But in this case, there seems to be an attempt to pressurize Mr. Parekh. And that's the only reason possibly for the FIR against him. The Congress is saying, we have nothing to do with it. It's an independent CBI. We have nothing. We don't even know about it. You buy that, Mr. Naresh Gujral?
Arnab, in recent days, the way a clean chit was given to certain allies of the government for disproportionate assets, that really astonished the whole nation. But then those are the parties which are supporting the government. And my question is very simple. If CBI has filed this case, it cannot suo moto file a case like that. It has to do what is called a preliminary investigation. Why does the CBI director not go public and let everybody know what kind of investigation was done based on which this case has been filed, and why has this case been filed only against Mr. Kumaramangalam Birla and an honest civil servant and not against the political masters?
Well, it's a simple answer. By the way, Mr. Gujral, for your information, there are 14 FIRs filed, and the CBI is likely to conclude these investigations by December. Number one.
I am talking of this particular case.
Number one. Number two, I think let's stop prejudging an issue. I come very often with Arnab on Times Now, and we question the Prime Minister's integrity on certain allegations. And let me tell you,
no, we are not talking of the Prime Minister.
Let us not be sacrosanct and say that some people are above board. The laws of the land apply to all.
No, one second. So you believe everybody should be treated fairly?
Absolutely.
One second. One second, Sanjay Jha. I have a question for Sanjay Jha. Before I take a counter, and I think Sunil Walag wants to come in. Sure. You believe everybody should be treated equally?
Absolutely.
You believe that every accused should be given the same treatment?
Yeah, absolutely.
You believe there should be the same responsibility between all ministers?
Yeah.
Irrespective of the scams, if the responsibility goes to the ministers,
I think all institutions must have the same value or opportunity in front of the law.
In that case, if the minister and the secretary were arrested in the case of the 2G scam, because it is the minister who signs off on the decisions, can you tell me who the minister in this case was of the coal scam?
Sorry?
Who was the minister in the case of the coal scam?
I mean, there have been various ministers during the NDA.
No, I'm asking you in the coal scam.
The Prime Minister has been the Prime Minister. Before him, Shibu Soren has been the coal minister. I mean, there have been many.
What's
the point you're making?
The
Prime Minister is not in the FIR. Let's be very clear. I think, everybody saying on this panel, Sunil Walag saying, why isn't the Prime Minister making a comment? The Prime Minister is not going to make a comment on which he's not engaged. He's not been mentioned. And by the way, the Prime Minister is not expected to respond to every development.
He's responding back. Sunil Walag.
I'm sorry,
Arnab, can I just say one thing? Look, what is the commerce? 1 second.
Aryaman Sundaram after Sunil Walag. Yeah.
What are we doing with corporate law? What are we doing with corporate law? All independent directors, Sanjay, 1 second, yaar. All independent directors are now culpable for anything that happens in a company. Can I be on the audit committee of a company, sign a document and get away with it by saying I signed it, but I don't know what the company was doing? Come on. On the one hand, you want good corporate governance to come in and asking all corporates that now on independent directors, whether they know or whether they don't know, as long as they are on the board, are supposed to know and will go to jail if that company does anything wrong.
No, watch it.
Give me a break
Prakash
now,
Javadekar.
please.
Prakash Javadekar to the Congress party. Prakash
On the
Javadekar.
other hand, you say no.
Mr. Javadekar.
Ministers can sign and get away with it. Come on.
Mr. Javadekar.
Sanjay is very right. And that is what I am asking. If the audit member or the committee chairman can't say that he has signed, he doesn't know. So that is the case, my case, that the Prime Minister who signed and cleared can't say that he doesn't know what has happened in the coal block allocation, and in this particular case also. He can't shirk away the responsibility, and as you rightly put it, in 2G case, the secretary is not held, the minister is held, and in this case, the secretary is held and not the Prime Minister.
Why? And by the way, didn't the Prime Minister, Aryaman Sundaram also wanted to come in. I thought the Prime Minister on the 27th of August 2012 said to nobody else but to the Parliament of India that he takes full responsibility. And he said, and I quote him there, he says, because of the nature of the allegations that are being made and because I was holding charge as coal minister for a part of the time covered by the report, I want to assure all honourable ministers, members of parliament, that as minister in charge, I take full responsibility for the decisions of the ministry.
Absolutely.
So where is the responsibility now?
You just answered my question.
Why is
my question. That's precisely the point. That the Prime Minister has said this on the floor of the House.
So why is he not taking responsibility?
In 2004.
No, one second. Allow me to complete. The line of questioning is Sanjay Jha on the 20 on the
BJP ruled states and certain opposition states did not allow for competitive bidding.
Sanjay, please understand this. Please, on the 27th of August 2012, the Prime Minister tells the people of India and all members of Parliament, I take responsibility. Now, what's the date today? 17th October, 1 year and 2 months later, the Prime Minister is not saying a single word, while the whistleblower in the particular case has an FIR registered against him, and the CBI does not seem to believe there is any line that goes beyond the Secretary.
You want the Prime Minister to Minister to make a public statement on a CBI investigation? And then you will tell me, 1 minute, then you
are the people to be denied that?
As a Congress party in government, we should not interfere.
Aryaman Sundaram, is it so difficult?
The Prime Minister is upholding the integrity of all institutions.
Aryaman Sundaram, yes.
I'm finding this. Arnab, can I come in here?
Go ahead.
I find this absolutely, I don't know whether to say amusing or shocking. We are really talking about and hearing somebody say, why should the Prime Minister say anything?
I said on the independence of the CBI.
Let him complete.
Ayushman, you need to hear the full context.
Going on. There is something which is absolutely boggling to the entire mind going on. We've had one issue after another. I have a Prime Minister. I want my Prime Ministers to stand up and tell me this is what is happening. If it was a policy decision, and it was a policy decision which some of us may feel wrong, well, if the Prime Minister can tell us, well, this was the policy. This is exactly what I'm saying. It's all come down to a lack of credibility. And when somebody doesn't speak and say why or how something happened, we suspect. And we suspect the bona fides, we suspect corruption, and that is what I'm saying. It is a case of a complete lack of credibility, and by this silence and lack of transparency, that lack of credibility is being strengthened.
Gentlemen,
and this is the mistake.
No, 1 minute. Let's go to our next question. No, 1 minute. I have one more question here.
Ayushman, I was saying
Aryaman, not Ayushman. Aryaman.
Mr. Aryaman, I just want to clarify here that the Prime Minister ought not to make a statement. I think he's doing the correct thing. Why should he make a comment on what the CBI's affair is all about? It is meant to be an independent investigation of the Supreme Court.
It's on the whole issue.
And by the way,
let them respond to you, please. Yes.
It is not on today's FIR.
1 sec. Prakash Javadekar, here the Prime Minister should not make a comment. I want your response to that. Prime Minister should not and will not make a comment. Therefore,
not on the CBI, not on the CBI FIR. Why
Prakash Javadekar.
Before 1
minute.
Got
nothing to
Prakash Javadekar. He's responding.
Before coming to your channel, I was listening to Barack Obama. He was making a statement on the pending legislation and many other things which are currently important topics in America. So all over the world, the president and prime ministers take nation into confidence and tell the position, government position, as well as what they want to go, how they want to go ahead. And that is what people expect. But this is how we are experiencing that there is no word. And he has to say whether he has made, whether as per claim by Birla Haji, whether he has made Birla, whether he has recommended, and whether he, as per Parak's statement, whether he has made the final okay to the proposal or not. At least this on this case.
No, you see,
but
I have
more than that, the Supreme Court's, 1 minute, the Supreme Court's observations are more serious. They said there is no reason mentioned as to why one is selected and why others are rejected. There is no due diligence. There is no comparative appraisal. There is no verification of claims. All this is, he was the coal minister. Why he should not tell the nation why this happened?
No, here's a point. You see, I have with me in my hand right now the original CBI FIR. Now I just take a small look at this whole one page, ladies and gentlemen, almost one whole page where there is a full description of the meeting between Kumaramangalam Birla and Parekh. This is the whole part which I have marked out here. I went through this whole FIR, and neither in the first part about the preliminary inquiry report or anywhere in the case of Hindalco is there a single reference to the Prime Minister of India or to the fact that the Prime Minister either cleared it or recommended it. Now, therefore, we look at this point. There are three phases in which this contract is given out. There is one phase where a recommendation is made, or that, prima facie, obviously the Prime Minister saw some merit in it, which is why he spoke to Mr. Parekh. Second stage is where Mr. Parekh came in, met, and also felt, okay, the case was worth looking at. Third was the case of the clearance. In this case, only stage number 2 is dealt with. Stage number 1 and stage number 2, for a mysterious reason, ladies and gentlemen, is completely missing from the CBI FIR. So the fundamental point is, what is the nature of the governance or the accountability put? Now, my question is this. Before I take a break, I have one more question. And I know you don't like these references to the 2G scam.
No, it's okay. Feel free.
But in the case of the 2G scam, the Prime Minister's defense was coalition compulsions. I was misled by Mr. Raja. Is that correct or not correct? Is that correct or not correct? Is it correct?
Yeah. It was not a defense, it was a fact.
Yeah, it was a fact.
So he just reiterated what was the truth.
Here's a simple question everyone's asking. Yeah. Who misled him in this case?
Sorry?
Who misled him in this case?
No one.
So then he takes responsibility.
He has said it on the floor of Parliament.
No, so
investigation is on.
Why is his name not in the FIR? No, why is his name not in the FIR?
As he was the coal minister,
I get a response.
The Prime Minister has taken full responsibility on the floor of the House. You read out his quote himself.
What you've just said breaks the line of deniability.
1 minute. The truth is that the Prime Minister is not interfering with any investigation. I think he's upholding the integrity of all institutions.
No,
I think you need to applaud and appreciate him for that. Now to demand him to speak on every subject, I think it's been
I asked a simple question here. How can he defend a decision that was taken by the coal ministry where he was a minister? Can the Prime Minister be misled by himself? Can the Prime Minister be misled by the coal minister who is also himself? Can one individual be misled by himself? Cannot be the case out here.
Let me also tell you, there's a big difference between Mr. Raja's case and any other case. You're again making a wrong comparison. One was one minute. In the coal, the issues are whether there were procedural violations, whether there's a lack of documentary evidence.
Sir, I'm asking
it is not about a quid pro quo. Even in the FIR, there's no mention of a cash quid pro quo. 1 minute. And it is about whether parties influenced it and whether corporates managed to get allocation on misrepresentation of facts.
2 minutes for break number 1.
There's no personal allegation.
2 minutes for break number 1 on the Newshour tonight. 2 reactions coming in. First, Aryaman Sundaram. Yes, Mr. Sundaram. And then Naresh Gujral.
I'm just a bit confused. If the FIR does not refer to any quid pro quo at all, where is there any element of criminality? Where is the issue of an FIR at all?
Yeah. It's about misrepresentation of facts. It's about influencing the office and therefore taking advantage. That's clear there.
No, who influenced? If the Prime Minister did, there are 3 questions which need to be answered tonight. 1, did the Prime Minister meet Kumaramangalam Birla? 2, actually there are more. 2, did the Prime Minister meet Kumaramangalam Birla in the context of Hindalco Industries, which is a company of the Aditya Birla Group? 3, was there any contact at all between the Prime Minister and the Honourable ex-Coal Secretary, Mr. Parekh, in the case of Hindalco at all or not? 4, did Mr. Parekh concur with the views of the Prime Minister on the matter? Were both on the same page or not? 5, is the final decision, the approving authority, that of the Prime Minister as well? Therefore, is it proven that in stage 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, the Prime Minister is present in a, in some form or the other, in a substantial or, minimal form, and therefore should there be any responsibility of the Prime Minister? 6th and 7th questions are political. The 6th question is that did the Prime Minister take responsibility in Parliament or not? Should he follow up on that? And the 7th question is, If the Prime Minister said he was misled in the case of the 2G scam, who misled him here? So, you know, in all of this, I think we're on thin ice. Naresh Gujral is responding. Naresh Gujral.
Arnab, in this case, there is a beneficiary and there are the benefactors. Now, CBI has filed a case against the beneficiary and one of the benefactors, that is the secretary. The second benefactor has been spared. So I think the onus lies on the CBI director to explain that what transpired or what came up through their preliminary investigations, that they thought it fit to spare one of the benefactors but only attack the second benefactor.
Oh, point taken. Yeah, yes, Mr. Alag.
Yeah, you know, the last point, I don't think personally anybody is really guilty. If the Prime Minister had come out and said, what Aryama was saying, we followed a process, everything is right. Mr. Kumaramangal Birla has the world's largest aluminium company. There's no middleman who's trying to get the coal allocation to sell it to someone else. We are committing suicide and harakiri day by day in front of the world. Yes. We are ensuring that nobody will invest in India. Nobody is bothered about the image of the industrialist. Who will answer about Mr. Birla's image? You've just done it. You've just thrown anything in the air and you're going to carry on. Oh, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake at the end of it. Actually, personally, if only the Prime Minister had spoken out, he saves the country. He corrects
Mr. Alag, if anybody liberalized India,
okay, gentlemen, we are taking our break number 1 tonight. The point here is, whether or not there was transparency is proven. The courts have said there was no transparency. There was zero transparency in an arbitrary manner. The question is who takes responsibility. My question to all our viewers is, just think before we come back to the subject in debate number 2, is whether the blame game has now broken out because the Supreme Court is going hard after this case. What if the Supreme Court did not do that? Would this be happening? I'll be back in a few minutes.